Hello, Jet Setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from GreenerGrass.com.
And I'm Suzanne with GreenerGrass.com.
And we are so excited to celebrate this with you. It's two things. First of all, we had an unbelievable year in 2022. And best of all, we passed 500,000 subscribers, and we have you to thank for it. Thank you so much for watching, clicking that like button, and more than anything, subscribing. So here's to you.
Cheers.
Well, we did this last year and it was a lot of fun, which was kind of like to look back at the year in review. Let's hit it.
Category number 1, the best travel experience of 2022.
Best travel experience of 2022. Are you kicking off or am I?
Let's go ladies first.
All right. Suzanne, your answer.
The Andean Explorer train across Peru. Wow, like that was a train like nothing we've ever been on before, right? Like the train itself was just beautiful. The service was incredible. The people were so friendly. And oh my gosh, that scenery. I was definitely nervous about going up to 14,000 feet and above, actually. It's the highest I've ever been in my life. That didn't take away from the views or the scenery and just the whole experience. What a train.
I've got to agree, but my answer is more specific. It was seeing you dance at the station before we left. If you remember, Suzanne got taken up onto stage and danced with the folks who were helping us kick off that adventure. But you're right, the Andean Explorer was incredible. But you know, so many folks have focused on the luxury aspect of that trip, which it absolutely was. But it was the scenery for me. You said it. It was just such a gorgeous place to be on the planet. I'll never forget the sunrises and the sunsets.
Incredible. You know, when you brought up dancing, I thought you were going to talk about the Charleston.
That was another experience there.
Another dance moment this year.
Well, another train dance moment. Here's the question. When is Suzanne going to dance on an airplane? Suzanne, what is the next category?
It is the worst travel experience of the year.
Ooh. Ladies first on that one too?
Sure, why not? And before I say what it is, I'm going to say it's not for the reasons you think it is. But it was Spirit Airlines from Atlantic City to Myrtle Beach. And it wasn't because of Spirit Airlines really much at all. Like the experience was lovely. Like we sat in the big front seat and it was a perfectly nice flight. Like no complaints about Spirit Airlines, except for we took like maybe an hour and a half delay on that flight and we had booked like an onward trip on American Airlines and we were just like biting our nails the whole time about whether we would make this, you know, multi-ticket connection. It wasn't the worst, it wasn't the best planning on our part to have kind of these two tickets with a kind of short connection. So that's sort of on us, not Spirit Airlines. I
want to take that story and extend it a little bit because, so like everybody on that Spirit Airlines flight, we were delayed. And that meant most of the folks who were flying from Atlantic City to Myrtle Beach were connecting with Spirit Airlines somewhere else. And so they were trying to get everybody connecting off the plane first. So the flight attendants really encouraged people who were staying in Myrtle Beach to stay seated. And of course, we were in the big front seat up front, and we had a connecting flight, not on Spirit. Well, it seems like most everybody on that Spirit Airlines flight were connecting to Fort Lauderdale, and everybody in the airport was like rooting for this connection to happen. I don't know what was happening before we got there, but I think there were a lot of announcements about holding this flight that was connecting onto Fort Lauderdale. So we come running up the jet bridge, throw the door open to go.
We had like 6 minutes.
And so when we came running out of that door, everybody started yelling, "Fort Lauderdale, go left for Fort Lauderdale." I mean, it was like a scene in the Super Bowl or something, like everybody cheering for us. And so then we turned right to go to the American Airlines gate. And everybody started, no, they're freaking out. Remember this? Remember how they were freaking out? And
like, Fort Lauderdale that way.
And people were like, no, go that way. And so finally I yelled out, "We're not going to Fort Lauderdale." And then there were people booing. There were people booing us. Anyway, but we made the connection to Charlotte. We've been incredibly fortunate this year in terms of connections. You know, you never want to jinx yourself, but as travel has come back and airlines have struggled with staffing or with equipment shortages, the same is true for Amtrak or other rail experiences. We've been incredibly fortunate, haven't we, with our connections and our delays, which of course we faced, but they've all worked out. And I think there's a lesson in that, which is we're so fortunate to be able to travel at all. The last 2.5 years have taught us that you know, you've got to plan a little bit of wiggle room in your schedule. You got to know that, be ready for exigencies that may occur and just count on the unexpected. So I might push back a little bit on the category. I don't think I've had anything that negative.
You never do.
Very lucky. All right, next category.
All right, the next category is travel meal of the year. Jed, why don't you go first for this one?
Always happy to talk about food first. I actually have two. Can I have two?
Sure.
All right. First, the lamb on Air New Zealand. It was so perfectly prepared, just sort of melt in your mouth. I would submit to you that was possibly the best lamb that we ate during our trip to New Zealand.
I didn't eat the lamb on the plane, so I don't know.
Oh, it was so good. All right, and then my number two, my runner-up, believe it or not, same trip, the mid-meal snack on Qantas. That fried chicken was so good. Typically, airlines kind of avoid things that have been fried because they don't keep well and they're kind of ugh. But that had just really great flavor to it. It had a more complex flavor profile than most like mid-flight snacks have.
I was fast asleep. I missed the mid-flight snack there.
What are you going to do? All right. Suzanne, your travel meal of the year.
My travel meal of the year. And it was this summer when we flew upstairs in the 747 on Lufthansa. It was a kind of a red curry shrimp. Surprisingly delicious. I usually shy away from ordering seafood, shellfish on a plane because I just figure it's gonna be dry and gross. But this was just the flavors were on point. The curry was lovely. I really enjoyed that meal. And then you're upstairs in the 747. Is there anything better?
Next category, Suzanne.
Most disappointing video performance.
Okay, ladies first again.
Okay, and I'm gonna say it was kind of earlier in the year. It was when we flew from St. Martin to Miami on American Airlines in economy. And it wasn't a disappointing flight at all. I guess we were delayed, so that was a little bit disappointing. But I'm just gonna talk with you about the performance of the video. And we hear a lot about would you guys make more economy videos? And so this was kind of an attempt to do that, but the performance just isn't as good as when we fly business class or first class, and that's too bad. But anyway, if you have ideas about how to spice up an economy video, or what do you want to see in an economy video, let us know in the comments. So hopefully next year we could make some economy videos and hopefully show you what you want to see.
In terms of video performance of the year in the negative way for me, it's one we did called 39-Minute Connection. I thought that was a really useful video. So here's the premise, because not many people saw it. We made a connection in the Atlanta airport, the world's busiest airport, as tight as we could. So we had 39 minutes to make it from our flight inbound out of Greensboro to a flight connecting to
Charleston,
South Carolina. And we just wanted to see if you could really manage that minimum connection time. The answer is, well, you got to watch the video. But I don't think as many people saw that as I would have liked, because I really think that was useful. Just didn't have the views I would have expected. But that said, you never really know when it comes to YouTube, and we just do our best every week, and you all tell us through the data what works and what doesn't. Let's head to that next category. What do you say?
The next category is travel destination of the year.
Oh my gosh, we've had so many. Ladies first again. You want me to go? I'll go.
I'll go. My travel destination of the year is New Zealand. New Zealand must be my favorite country in the world to visit. It is just stunning everywhere you go. You cannot help but drive down the road and you're looking at a mountain or a lake or something gorgeous. It is just my favorite place. It's super laid back. You can get into a lot of outdoor activities. You can get into wine country. It's just so much variety packed into a pretty small country relatively. I had the best time there. We had a great trip.
I couldn't agree more. It really is a spectacular place. And it's like the best parts of the world curated into one spot, which is pretty cool, isn't it? And I would say, as great as New Zealand was, and it was great, and that would definitely be in the top, my answer is Norway.
Good one.
We had such a good time in Norway. Right now, we are catching up on Below Deck Adventure, because little known fact, our favorite television show is Below Deck. And that one takes place in Norway, and we're seeing a lot of the places we saw. And we're realizing that was a trip we made really as fast as we could, because we wanted to experience Norway by boat, by bus, and by rail. And I want to go back so badly. I think it'd be amazing to see, particularly in the winter, and experience a different side of that absolutely spectacular country. so incredible. But really, I would say another reason we are so grateful to you for watching this channel is because you make it possible for us to visit these kinds of places. And we are immensely grateful for that. And the exciting part is who knows where we're going next. Next category is Best Creative Direction of the Year, which is a category just for me to give to Suzanne. And the answer has to be Norway. Do you have any idea? So creative direction is really about more than just, hey, you should wear this Jeb shirt on this video. No,
I don't actually advise on that.
Yeah, some things the talent retains for itself. Also, the planning and logistics that go into creating these videos is immense. And that trip was a great example of it, because the amount of research that had to go into timing up these schedules for a ferry, a bus, and then a train, so that we got from one place to another in a reasonable amount of time, which is to say like 3 days with 3 modes of transportation where schedules had to line up. That was incredibly challenging. If any of you all have ever planned a trip, then you know just how tough that could be. So I think the award goes to you, of course, because it's your category, and to Norway.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And the next category is for you, Suzanne. It's Best On-Screen Performance of the Year. That, I think, is just for me.
Your performance inside the Denver hub. I thought that was a really great performance. You were just loving it all day long. Like, you gotta go behind the scenes, you gotta like ride in a tug, you gotta like climb in the belly of an airplane in a 757. You were just like a kid in the candy store all day long. You were just having so much fun, and I really wish I had gotten to join you that day. Really like high energy, excited to be there. And just, I think you just have a passion for highlighting some of these aviation jobs that are behind the scenes and maybe people don't think of all the time. Just all this complexity that goes on behind the scenes at an airport. All right, and on to the next category, and it's a big one. Trip of the year.
My trip of the year has got to be our time in South America. So we highlighted bits and pieces of this, but it really was amazing. So we flew down to Santiago, and then we went north to Atacama Desert. And this was such an amazing time, and I wish that our channel were set up such that we could share more of our experiences on the ground. We've tried that, and it just hasn't worked as well, just because of the YouTube algorithm or something. I don't know. And so this is a good excuse to show some of that footage from the Atacama. So we spent some time down there in the desert, which was incredible. And then we went up to Peru and had the Andean Explorer, which you know, if you've spent any time on the channel, you know is unbelievable. It was just so great to be back in South America after really far too long, and exercising my Spanish a little bit. I sound better in my head than I do in real life. And then just those experiences. So trip of the year for me, South America. Yours?
Great choice. That is a really good one, and it's definitely up there. My trip of the year is one we already kind of touched on, and it is fjords to Faroes. We did this Norway trip that Jeb had talked about previously, plus the Faroe Islands, like all within a week. And can you imagine like 2 more beautiful places than Norway and the Faroe Islands? The Faroes were just so remote, so special, so like untouched and off the beaten path. What a place. Wow. So I really, really enjoyed combining those two and kind of jam-packed into an amazing week.
Well, I'm sitting here imagining the things we saw on that trip, and the good news for you all is you've been able to watch it as B-roll. And the better news for me is that I'll get to edit it and look at those videos, and that's a big part of why we make these videos in the first place, is to capture these memories. And so again, as we said before, we want to say thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it more than you can know. Between now and the next time, see you in the sky, and thank you again for 500,000 subscribers. Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, there's an airplane out there. I guess I'll have to cut that out. All right, sorry. My trip of the year. Blooper. All right.